Welcome to the Scale with Pros podcast with your host, myself, Cody Barton, the number one place to be if you want to build a business beyond yourself. And for all the resources we talk about in the show, make sure to head over to scalewithpros.com. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive in. I have here my friend, Danny McBrinn, and he has a very successful real estate investing company here in Arizona, which is, for those that don't know, where I live as well. Really excited to have him on today so that we can talk through some of these challenges and some of the things that, he's had to overcome in growing his company from scratch all the way up to, multi-million dollar a year real estate investing company here in Arizona. So with that being said, though, I will let Danny share his story, kind of go into, how did he originally get started in the business he's in today, and then fast forward, kind of talk about, okay, where's, revenue-wise, team size, kind of share a little bit more about his company, and then we'll dive in from there.
First and foremost, thanks for having me on, Cody. So I appreciate you getting me on here and giving some value to, the audience and people watching this. So, I'm super excited to talk about my journey and dive a little bit deeper into, the business and kind of pull back the curtains a little bit. So mainly, I like to start with kind of my Arizona journey. So 6 years ago, I moved out to Arizona from New York. I was working at Enterprise. I was an assistant manager at, a small branch, 4 to 5 people there, making, 50, 60 grand a year or so, something like that. And, just kind of, I always strived for more. I was always ambitious to want to do better. And I had a job opportunity to come out to South Phoenix, the Ahwatukee area, to work for UPS, and that's what I did for the year of 2018 when I first moved out here. And I was living in the hood of South Phoenix off of like Baseline with cockroaches in my apartment, and it was a total my first year out here, it just sucked, man. Like it was a grind. I didn't like the job. I ended up liking Arizona a lot, so in 2018, I made the decision, I want to live in Arizona, but I don't want to be working at this job or in this environment anymore. Towards I would say around August, September of 2018, I got, a second job working in the evenings at Bottled Blonde, and I was doing security there. I was working from 9 p.m. to about 2 or 3 a.m. every night, and then going to my 9 to 5 job because I set a meter. I set a plan to save up a certain amount of money so I could eventually, venture off and do my real estate journey. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. I didn't know anything about real estate. I just read books, watched and followed people, and heard that you can make a lot of money doing it, which
And so before you even go into more of the story, so it's like you already decided, like, I'm going to do this real estate thing, and a lot of people are making money with it. I'm going to be one of those. And so I'm going to dedicate working basically 16 hours a day to just be able to get yourself set up to start the business.
Yes. And my first year I was working for someone else too. So I was just setting myself up to have a cushion to, take a stab at this business. And then I started out going down the traditional realtor route. So from 8:30 to 5 p.m. I would go to UPS and I would work from about 5:30 to about 9 or 10 p.m. I'd go and get licensed for my realtor stuff. And then I would go work in the evenings from about 9 p.m. to about 2 a.m. With the licensing, I did it maybe 1 or 2 days a week because I didn't do like the full smash
the crash course one where you could just cruise through it.
I had to do it over a lengthy period. So that was my schedule for part of 2018, which was literally 16 to 18 hours a day that I would work and do something. It was completely taxing on my body. I was barely getting any sleep. I was super unhealthy at the time, but it got me to where I needed to be in order to set myself up ahead, because I was able to stack some cash and put it away. So, hey, once I took this stab and I left my day job and I left the nightlife industry, it was, hey, I'm now going full board into this. I've failed like a mother, but I went full board in, but at least I had a cushion and some money saved up to, really take a stab at this. And I was doing acquisitions for, another investor at the time, and I would cold call from 9 to 5, and then I'd cold call when I got home. So probably about 10 to 12 hours a day, I would just cold call for leads. I would cold call and try to get deals. That was my first almost a year in the business. That's all I did. And then I did it again, which we'll get to.
I want to
obviously for
stop there
myself.
for a second because like just what you're talking about doing of like a year of the cold calling before we even get to like the company that you've now built today, most people are just not willing to do that type of work. And I resonate with that heavily because when I did the same thing when I got into real estate, I'm like, I want to do real estate, get my license, went to the classes, then did that, realized I hated it. And then I didn't, when I got my license, I was like 21. So I was like, none of my friends could buy anything. So all I did was cold call every day for a good year and a half before I was able to transition out of that. So I resonate with so much of this story, but there's so many people that are just not willing to do this type of like grind grunt activity to get to, now where you're at in the business. So I just had to just say that because I'm like, dude, like I feel that in my soul.
Yeah. And most people don't want to cut their teeth, or they don't want to, go through that process. Even, someone that's maybe older, 30, 35, and they've just been comfortable their whole life. It's like, oh, I'm not going to step down and, I'm not going to cold call leads, or I'm too good for that. It's like you have to swallow your pride, and depending where you're at personally and financially will depict how you run and start your business, obviously.
So then what was the next steps there leading into where you're at today?
So then the year we're finishing up about 2019. So then I'm kind of going into the new year. Left that company, not making a lot of money. I was going broke again. Not that I had much money to begin with, but I ended up getting another job working at a restaurant in Scottsdale from a friend that I used to work with at Bottled Blonde. They opened up a restaurant, and I started working on evenings again. That was from Wednesday to Sunday. However, these hours were better. I wasn't working late nights. I was just doing like regular serving, and I would work from about 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. So from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., I would cold call again all day.
Yeah.
And I'd take a break from lunch, go for a little walk, and I'd start back up at 1 p.m. And I pulled a list of data. I got a dialer, and it's funny enough, like I got a deal like super quick. Within a week of doing it, I got 2 deals really quickly. I got a Mesa mobile home, made about 15 grand off of, hit Kurt up because Kurt and I were, in communications. And that's
for those that don't know, Kurt's Danny's business partner.
Yes. So continue. Kurt and I own Real Offer and a couple other businesses together. And then we both started in the journey, around the same time. And, he helped me dispo that deal. So we split that deal, did another deal, split that, made a couple grand. And I was like, damn, like, I got this, dude. Like, I got this in the bag. Let's go. And then COVID hit, and I didn't see another paycheck for 4 or 5 months. So I had a January, New Year, I'm good, let's go. And I didn't have another paycheck for a long time. And that was, a really hard time. And we were sharing some expenses, so we were putting some money into the business a bit. We had one VA or something, some Podio, some systems, and I didn't have much money, to begin with. And, I was putting money into something without a return coming back, and I was never used to that kind of delayed gratification of things. And hey, the money that I'm putting in today and the work that I'm putting in today is going to pay me at a later point in time. So
yeah, it's a tough thing to stomach, especially in the newer stages. Especially it's like there's not money coming in, money's going out. There's not a great strong sign that money will be coming in soon besides just pure faith and just grunt work of it will work, and that's it.
Yep. It was a totally messy, bootstrapped, just straight hustle for the first, that year of 2020. There was no company. I was locking deals up under Dan McBrinn. Kurt had this other entity. Like it was a totally bootstrapped, a bootstrap process. But that's how it has to be, because at the end of the day, once we formulated it into a real company and all these other things, we had the foundational skill sets to set everything up the right way. Where I meet so many people, and a friend of mine, younger guy who's, starting up a company, thousands, $15,000 on attorney fees, his business plan, his this, his that. Like, and all to have a couple grand of revenue within a 6 to 8 month period. And I'm like, well, who are you calling? Like, where's the leads? Where are the deals? Like, where's your customer acquisitions? Like, why are you not getting and sourcing the business first and then figuring out all the other bullshit that goes into it? So people are so caught up on the analysis and my business plan, and I got to get my LLC set up. It's like, no one's going to sue you. You're broke. Like, you know, it's like everyone's so caught up in the plan and
it's like the preparing to prepare to prepare to prepare. And it's like, it's like, got to get the LLC, got to get my CRM, need my website, need my business cards, need my logo, need this, this perfect, pretty thing. And then I can't start working on my business because I'm working on these things that need to be there for me to be a real business. And so that's, people get stuck in that.
And I ran a business off Google Sheets. That was legitimately my business.
Earlier on in my real estate investing career, I had this notebook that was my driving for dollars notebook. So there's apps for that now. Like, there's a couple real estate apps that people use to go, and for those that are in other industries, basically you drive around really crappy neighborhoods and look at crappy houses, and you just see ones that look like crap. And then you try to reach out to the person that owns it and see if you could buy it for a good deal. Like, that's essentially what I was doing. And I had this notebook, and I would like drive around South Phoenix, and I would like see an address, and I'm like, that looks terrible. And then I'd look at like on my maps on my phone and see the address, and then like handwrite it, and then go home and then call these people.
Yeah. And you're dropping pins and saving addresses. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm sure you got a deal. And
I did. I got multiple deals that way. And I was just like, this is crazy. I'm just literally driving, looking at houses that look terrible, and then calling the people, and some of them sold to me.
Yeah, and I would not sleep on driving for dollars either, because you are literally and visually like, that is a motivated lead, because that house is up. So for a fact, hey, that's a good wholesale deal.
Yeah, 100%. So fast forward, you're doing this, and now how did that then lead to where you're at today, where, I'm going to spoiler alert, where now you have a team of, what was the team count? Over 30 team members and over $3 million a year in revenue. Like, a lot has happened now since then. So walk through that ascension.
So this really didn't we were definitely crushing it from that mid 2020 after COVID, the spike, to about 2022 when the fallout came. But I mean, those 2 years was like crushing it. But at the same time, I couldn't tell you how much money was made. I always say, there was more money in the bank account last month than there was this month. So we made money. Then that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't have QuickBooks. I couldn't account for anything. There was no real business structure or roles. It was just kind of all over the place. Kurt and I would both dispo a deal, be sending it to the same buyer. Then people are getting mad at us because they both want to buy it. It was super messy, and we carved out some better roles kind of over time. In about end of 2021, 2022 era, or I think it was 2022, we had Sharper Consulting come in. So that was the first time I actually got like a business coach. And these people further consulted us, on our finances. We actually made an org chart, which is an organizational chart, which essentially breaks down the leaders and the department heads for marketing, sales, administration, finances, and who's in charge of what, like who owns what tasks and what roles. I know you do a lot of that process mapping and stuff like that. So we really buttoned up our people, our processes, and our finances, and that kind of helped tie everything together and put everything more in sync, more in harmony. So, and that wasn't too long ago that we tied all that together either. So, my first year was a complete bootstrap, and then, after that was just more bootstrapping and figuring it out as you go. But the biggest thing I can take out of my journey is that I think every day, even up to now, I'm still doing complex deals that I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing 60 to 70% of the time, but I just take imperfect action to do so, because I know that I can figure it out as I go, and I can figure it out along the way. I don't have to overthink about taking the step to do so.
That's so true. And in business too, I think that's just one of the keys to winning in business is, you're never going to have a perfect circumstance. And or perfect situation or the perfect timing. And I talk about that like with our teams a lot is, even on just like if we're going to like create something, it's like minimum viable done. Like everything is just minimum viable done. Like minimum viable, can we do it and just move forward with it and then we'll figure it out later? Okay, perfect. Let's just do it. It's like, because otherwise you get, like you said, it's like you get in this analysis paralysis and you need to like button up and tie a bow on something before you actually take any action. It's like, it's just, you can't do that when you're trying to just brute force take a business from nothing to $1 million company.
No, it doesn't.
So
You just need to take action.
yeah, 100%. And so for those of you that are listening and you're thinking about, analyzing, aiming, you just got to take action and then correct your direction as you go. So a question that I wanted to ask you, Danny, is so what would you say was the biggest challenge from like taking the business from, let's say, like $100,000 a year to $1 million plus? Like, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome on that?
I mean, I would say a big thing is obviously delegating. I think every business owner struggles with delegating. They think that, at one point you're going to wear all the hats, so the different departments and the different roles. And I think letting go of that control and letting go for some people is a massive struggle. You get into the mindset of like, I need to be the one that knows how to do that. Where, as you know, and I know you love this book too, but it's who, not how, Your job is to create the best process and the best way to do it. Then you screen record that, you train it, you build it into a process, and then you plug the who to do the how. You are not caught up in wanting to do the how. How do I do this? How do I get this done? You don't have to do every role, but you have to create the best process and then put the best people into that best process.
100% agree. And I would say this, because this is a challenge that I had to overcome in the last, probably 2 years ago. I didn't even know how to start with certain like financial processes. And as we started like acquiring companies and we had multiple companies and like this portfolio and this like umbrella company and like all these team members, W-2 in multiple states and like benefit plans and stuff for these people. I didn't know, one, how to do it. And I didn't even know like who the right who was going to be to do it. And like one of the things that I had to learn on that process was, okay, it was the right who to do the thing. And I basically, I guess another layer of just delegation is creating like what a successful outcome is, and then hiring a competent person that has a track record of being able to do that, and then giving it to them to create. Like one of the things for that example is like when we hired our CFO, Ben, and when we brought him in, we were in the interview and he had worked for a company that was doing over $100 million a year. And he was like, one, you guys are too small for me to hire. You guys aren't doing enough in revenue. So that was a nice gut punch in an interview when you're interviewing someone. But we really fought to get him to take the role. But one of the things he asked is, he's like, what does your benefit plan look like for the company? How do you do your PTO? How do you, what's the handbook and what's the health insurance plan and da-da-da. And I was like, honestly, I don't know how to set any of that stuff up. And so I asked him, I was like, is that something that you have helped companies that you worked at in the past done before? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I had to do that at the last 2 companies I was at, is like, assess the cost for the company, identify the best plans based on the employees that were in the company, and then help roll it out. And I was like, so one of the first tasks that we would probably have you do when you start at this company is to assess the benefits that would be best for our company, and then help shop, make sure that we can afford them, and then roll them out. So it's like one of the things that I like to do now is like, I'll write like success guides for roles that I don't understand. So like we have a senior web developer. I don't know anything about code or any of that freaking jargon. And so I'll just write a success guide of like, success in technology means things work this way. Like a 5th grader wrote it, because that's me writing it. And then as long as all of the things I wrote, which means success to me in that department, are true, and however they do it from a keyboard and whatever they're doing on the computer to code things out, that is success. And that was like another layer of like the who, not how thing that I've had to learn. Because it was like, okay, before, like you're saying, it's like I could just build a process and like, okay, here, you do the thing and you're going to be the who for it. But once I started getting into these roles where I'm like, I don't even know how to build. I'm like swimming out in the middle of the ocean. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm never going to be able to know code. I'm never going to be able to know the law, know, in-depth CPA work. There's just things I'm never going to know how to do, but that's okay because I'm going to find the best person who knows how to do it and then hire them.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So that delegation, that skill. So what would you say? Like, was there anything that you did to help you get better at delegating initially, or was there like what did you do to kind of break through that? Because a lot of people do. Like most people listening to this right now, they've hired and fired, and maybe they've given up almost on. Hey, I don't even know if I can hire people because they all suck, right? So what are your
Well,
thoughts on that?
I think a big thing is coming up with that organizational chart, because some people, you may not even know where to start, or at the end of the day, every business is broken down into I think they say 4 departments. It's marketing, sales, operations, and finances. I believe that's every business in a nutshell has those components. Marketing is your lead generation for wholesaling. How do I get leads? Cold call texting, PPC, TV ads. Sales is your acquisitions rep. What's your sales process look like? Operations is more of your dispo, selling of the deal. So after the contracts are done, how do you fulfill that order? Well, it's by selling it off to the buyers. And then finances is your QuickBooks, bookkeepers, and making sure that's all tidy.
How would you recommend someone that's maybe been discouraged or, working towards delegating better?
Knowing, I guess, what to delegate. So when you have a proper organizational chart and hey, where am I sitting right now? What roles and responsibilities am I doing and do I have, so I know what to delegate off? If you're not properly structured and don't know what to delegate, then you're going to have a hard time doing so. And then knowing that, hey, I'm doing this Excel work, I'm doing this escrow work, this is really tedious, analytical, I can't do that, then hey, I need the type of person that's more analytical, it's more tedious, it's more detail oriented, and I can look at this organizational chart visually and know, hey, this over here I need a tedious analytical person to do. This over here, acquisitions, I need a driver, I need a high speed type of guy to do. But without knowing all these different tasks and responsibilities, then you're not going to know exactly where to delegate. And my own recommendation for someone, if you're like me and you're a high driver type of person, you're a real fast go-getter type of person, like for me, I already know what I need. I need the bookkeepers. I need the analytical, the people are going to nerd out on things, the Excel guys. Like I need all of that. Like go get me the leads, go do the lead generation, get the data, get the list, and then get me the leads, get me in front of someone so I can go and lock it up. And that is what, at least someone, if you're making 6 figures, that means you probably have some VAs. Maybe you have a business partner, maybe you have one employee or something. But the thing about delegating too, it's like some people think they're going to be Apple like overnight, and it's like, oh, I got to delegate everything, where it's like you need to layer a brick, do some work, layer another brick, do some work. Like it doesn't just happen overnight.
That journey of delegating, there's a lot of the letting go that has to happen. There's the, getting clear, like you're talking about, when you need to get clear on, who's doing the what in your organization. And like you talked about, those 4 key areas that, whenever I'm teaching on that as well, it's like, yeah, it's marketing, it's sales, it's ops, it's finance. And, it's like any business is the same in that way. And so as you're looking at delegating those first people, if you're in Danny's shoes where you're more of that visionary, like salesperson, like you're just like, get me in front of people to sell, get me on the phone with someone to sell them something. If that's you, then like Danny's saying, it's like you got to find the people that you're either hiring or partnering with that kind of complement your skills, where they could do the things that you like, that you don't like to do, and vice versa. And in my case, I'm like, I don't love doing sales. I don't love, the marketing side of business, and I have to like force myself to do these things. And, so that's oftentimes whenever, I'm either, if we're buying a company or we're getting involved in in a company to work on, or whatever the case may be, or if I have to temporarily be involved in that, that is the first thing that I'm trying to identify is as soon as I humanly possibly can, I'm going to be getting someone else to take over doing the sales management, so I could work on the things that I love to do, which is a lot of the ops, finance, people, team building, leadership, like org structure type work. And so I think like you're saying, it's like you got to know yourself and then like, go get that help. I think the other thing people sometimes make the mistake of too is they are that salesperson, and so they go and try to hire another one of themselves because they're like a homie, because they're like, you guys just vibe, right?
Your best, your boy.
Yeah. But then you both just want to do the same stuff, and neither of you want to do the stuff that neither of you like to do.
Yep. Yeah. So you gotta identify that and know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and find someone that best suits you and your company for that. Like you said, you're more process oriented, the back end stuff. You don't want to go on TV. I'm blasting my face everywhere and doing all this crazy shit, but it's like that's kind of what comes with it, and knowing what you're good at, knowing the strengths, and finding the best people to complement your strengths and weaknesses.
So I'm curious for you, Danny. So what's the next thing for the company? So you guys have 30 team members. You're doing $3 million plus a year in revenue. You guys bought, this really, dope office building in the East Valley here in Arizona. That's really close to the corridor of where you guys do a lot of your deals. So super, super good location there. But so what's the next thing? Like the next couple years for real, offer, and what you guys are looking to accomplish to continue scaling?
I mean, I think the biggest thing, it's like people talk about scaling. I think the biggest thing right now is it's increasing net profit margins and increasing, efficiency. So it might not necessarily be scale. We need to get another office building. I got to get 10 more people. It's, hey, how do I work with what I already have and increase my net margin and increase efficiencies? Maybe there's something we can automate. Maybe there's something we can do in Podio that takes away a step, or maybe when I click this button, then it auto sends an email, auto sends a task, does something where things are more efficient. So I'm to a point now where how can I be the most efficient, and how can I increase, the net margin? Because I'm doing the wholesaling at a high level, flipping mobile homes. I'm flipping 12 mobile homes a month right now. Have rentals, doing some private loans. So I have a lot going on currently. And I think the biggest thing for me right now, it's that things are in a good place. And now it's like, all right, I don't want to get too veered off the path. I don't want to get shiny object syndrome or go and try to take down a 20-unit building. It's how do I sustain a good net profit margin and will get my efficiency of doing it better. So it's mainly getting wholesaling, pretty much staying with where it is, trying to make anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 a month doing that, taking down as many flips as we can in good margins. We can make, hopefully $40,000 a flip or something. Maybe get a couple more rentals, like you said, seller finance, creative deals. We got like a 0% seller finance deal that we're wrapping. Really like those. I'm going to continue to do my private loans, and I'm at least where I'm at right now for the next couple of years. I'm not really trying to jump ship too much. I'm a pretty simple guy, and I like to work on what I know how to do, and I do it, at a really high level, and that's what I want to keep doing.
No, I love that. And honestly, in my opinion, I do think that what you're doing is scaling the business from like the financial standpoint. Like, because like, for example, it's like someone could have a 10 million a year company, but they're only profiting 10%, so they're making $1 million, and someone else could have a $2.5 million company that's netting $1 million, and it's like that's a lot less headache to deal with. It's a lot less thing, it's like efficiencies are probably a lot more in place with that, smaller company, but it's that saying of revenue is vanity and profit is sanity, and that is the goal. And the interesting thing too is like building the business, and I talk about this a lot like in our Scale with Pros group, but it's like building a business to serve the lifestyle that you want to build versus having to work in this business that, doesn't serve the life that you want. And it's like,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, then it's like, well, what's the point? Why are you building something that doesn't create the lifestyle from like financial, but then also like freedom, time, stress, relationships? It's like all of those other things that matter alongside then, not just growing the business.
Yeah. I completely agree. And you don't want to be a slave to your business or, be super stressed out every day. It's not worth it to live like that every day.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that's, prior to us hopping on here, I was mentioning a little bit, but that's, one of my goals over the next year and a half is simplifying some of the things that I'm doing, because I have a portfolio of different companies, and it's a lot of employees across different states, and, people in other countries. And there's a lot of moving parts to all of that. And like, it's a very heavy payroll between all the stuff, and it's a lot. And so, that's where I'm even, yeah, it's a lot in all those areas. And so that's something that I've been, coming to identify more with, of like what I'm wanting to build in my life. And, it's like past certain amounts of money, which obviously I always want to make more money, want to be able to take more home profit, be able to invest more, be able to have more cash flow, all those things continuously forever. But there's like, at what point is there some sort of diminishing return on like forcing more things versus like optimizing the things that you have right now and that are working, and finding a way to just build it around the lifestyle that you want to build.
And I think you said it best. That's a word that gets tossed around a lot, is diminishing returns. It's I gotta go and freaking double my marketing budget. I gotta get more staff. I gotta get more this. And it's each person should be helping you make more money or saving you time. And if they're not doing one of those two things, then you have a liability, and you're just adding more liabilities to your balance sheet till it's too overloaded that you have to start firing people, downsizing, and creating a lot more stress than you need.
Yep. No, I agree. When I think about like my favorite like team size between the companies that I have, and like they're, obviously different team members that work for just individual companies. When I think about like my favorite size of a team was when like our Manifest U team, which serves a lot of our other companies, when that team was at about like 25 to 30, like that was like my favorite team size. Cause it's like, I could, you're able to like know everybody, you're able to like, talk to everybody and have a relationship more or less with everybody on the team. But then as it continues to grow, it's like, I don't even know the names of some people that work in the different companies. Some of them I don't know more than maybe a couple of the names, and so it's, I don't know. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I'm just like, I'm thinking out loud now of just different things that,
Oh, talking about scaling and how, you're adding a lot, and just making sure that each component added actually brings value is the biggest thing.
Yeah, definitely. So for those people that are listening, and again, there's a lot of people that, maybe they are in real estate. There's a lot of people that, are in other types of service-based companies as well listening to this. What would be the recommendations of like, or I guess any lessons that you would go back and tell yourself, like going on the journey that you've went on to now build what you have? Like, what would you go back and tell your past self? Like, what would be some of that best advice? Like, maybe it's like, one or two different things that you could think of that would help you maybe go a little bit faster.
Number one is delegating faster. So if you have the money to do it, then you should absolutely be delegating faster. Like if I went and started another business, I'd be figuring out all the components and the people that I need first before I even start it, and figuring out training modules and figuring out things that I have to do in order to train people. So number one is definitely when you get that first deal, when you make that, $10,000, $20,000, it's, hey, let me pay yourself. Always pay yourself first. That's another lesson too that I need to learn. I learned the hard way, is paying yourself first, not having your
just
business reinvest. No, you got to pay yourself first. You got to take care of your personal finances and personal credit, and you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. That's going to be one of the biggest things. And as you're delegating, You're going to lay each brick on its foundation.
So that's number one. It would be the delegating faster.
Delegating faster, and then, like I was saying earlier, man, like just taking imperfect action. I mean, this isn't really a business component. It's more of a life thing, but it's just like not being so caught up in having a plan. Like an imperfect plan is 10 times better than the perfect plan, because the perfect plan is never going to get executed. The plan that's about 70% done is the one that's it's going to be better than the perfect plan, because I'm going to be all the way over here perfecting my imperfect plan while you're still thinking about the perfect plan. And I've already done it. I've already tested the market, and I've made the proper adjustments that I need to know. When you get into it over here and you finally decide to take the step, and then you figure out all the shit that's wrong because you took so long to think about it, I've already done 20 of those things over again. So I've already tested the marketing sources. I've already gone through different acquisitions, people, VAs, whatever. I've already tested and took the action to do everything. So it's delegating and taking the imperfect action, to do so. So it's like, hey, I can get to where I want to go even quicker because I'm taking the action to do so.
Between the 2 points that you made, I think that is my favorite point, because people don't even get themselves out of their own way, because they are trying to come up with all of these things that need to be perfect for the business to even exist. I in a similar way, on like the real estate investing side, like I didn't have we never had a website, which is stupid, honestly. We like for the real estate investing side, like we never had a website.
Yeah. I think I got a website a couple of years ago. So that was, and I had an F rating on the Better Business profile till like a year and a half ago. So I had an F rating. I'm like, oh, we have an F rating. And I'm like, I got to contact them and get this review removed. And we got it cleaned up. But it was like, that was literally a year and a half ago. After I've made millions of assignments and flips and everything, I had an F rating on the BBB.
And obviously it's like, long term for brand recognition, like you want to work on that. But, I think the point for people to get is like, stop overthinking all of these things. Like you need, for any business, you need to go find the people that need that you have the solution for what they need. And you need to go talk to as many of them as possible to sell them your solution, whether it's, buying their house, whether it's selling them your service, whether it's selling them, your consulting, or whatever the thing is that someone's selling. It's just go and do that. And then you'll figure out along the way what needs to be improved, because once you get into the corridor of doing the business, you'll learn all the things that you need to change about what you're doing by going through it. And there's only one way to experience that, which is to go through it.
Yeah. And I think a big thing too, I mean, I guess you could call it a third point or something, but like when you're out there trying to learn something new, or you're networking with other investors, other people, it's like you never want to be in a mindset of, hey, I got to take and extract as much information as possible where I go. Like I'm a person where, I want to lead with as much value as possible. If someone's a professional in my industry, I want to get close to them and I want to pay them for their time to figure out what they're doing. And I want to offer that to them. Or if I want to take them out for dinner, like I'm paying for that dinner, I'm paying for that lunch, I'm paying for whatever I need to get close to this person because I respect them and I respect their time. And so many people are like, they're just of the notion like, oh, why didn't I texted him about, let me get your hard money lender, let me get your contractor, and he just didn't text him back. Like, what a douche. Like, how do you think that makes someone feel when you're just extracting or taking information? Like you always want to be leading forward with something of value to someone. It's, hey, Cody, I got this deal. It's a mobile home in Mesa. I know that you're a big buyer, of mobile homes, and by the way, I hope we can get this deal done. And if it works out, maybe you can, spend 30 minutes with me to help me move around some things in my CRM system or something. But you're leading with something of value to that person. And it's shit. Like, I want Cody to win, dude, because this guy is coming to me with value. He's pouring into me. Now I want to pour into him. Like it's a ever revolving circle of when you are pouring into other people and you're bringing value to other people in the marketplace, like people are going to want you to win and people are going to want to help you.
It's so true. And I cannot emphasize that point enough on not like that, the leading with value. Cause I'm sure, you experience this as well from a lot of people where it's like, okay, here's a spoiler for everybody listening. Nobody wants you to ask them if you could pick their brain. Nobody needs you to buy them coffee. I think Danny can afford to buy his own coffee. I think he can do that on his own. I am sure he could figure out $5 to buy a cup of coffee. Stop asking people that you're trying to learn from to pick their brain, to buy them a coffee. Identify what is it in their business that is valuable to them and figure out a way to bring something of value to them in their business if you're trying to work your way into building a relationship with a high caliber person like a Danny or another person that you're looking up to. It's not going and doing those types of things like Danny was saying. It's like, bring him a deal. He's probably likely to have a conversation with you and maybe spend a little bit of time with you by you exchanging that value. And the other point is, it's like, that's the one path to talking to and building relationships with ultra successful people. The other path is, like Danny said, you pay for it. You pay for their, whether it's they have coaching or they have a mastermind or they have an event or they have some product or service or whatever the thing is, pay to cut the line to have the support that you're looking for. And I know there's probably people that are like, oh, well, that's, freaking greedy people that are ultra successful. They already have money. Why do they need a coach? And why do they, why don't they just don't want to help us out? It's like, no, it's that people that are ultra successful, they value their time and they know the pick the brain people are going to waste their time and they're not even going to do anything with it. They're going to ask for advice and then you're going to listen and then you're going to do nothing with it. And 6 months later, you'd be asking the same questions again.
Yep. You want to see someone invest too. Like, you want to see someone that puts some skin in the game to want to do something, because that's going to be the most serious person. The person that offers to pay you hundreds of dollars an hour for your time, thousands of dollars, that's going to be the most serious person. And that's going to be the person I want to win, because, someone that comes to me like that, it's, dude, like, I respect that. I respect the hustle and I want you to win.
Yeah. And so I just want to make the point for people. It's like, that wasn't meant to be, mean, I guess, but just the reality of what it is when, because I have definitely heard that from people. They're like, oh, this person's so standoffish, they don't respond. It's like, well, no, they make like freaking, their company does 30 million a year and they're doing this other stuff and they have a family and they have 40 employees that they're spending time into. So yeah, they didn't respond to you because you asked to pick their brain and they're working on some probably crazy challenge in their business right now, So rants over on that topic. But so those are the three things. So number one, you said you would delegate even faster. Number two, you said that you would take imperfect action faster, essentially, as well. And then number three, you would find your way around the people that you'd essentially want to be like, whether you're paying them or exchanging value and being a go-giver, essentially.
Yeah, get in the rooms. That's the biggest thing. Get in the rooms and figure out who the best players are, get around them, pay for their time, do whatever you can do, bring whatever value you can to, rub elbows with those high professionals. Because then you can figure out what's the best marketing, where are they doing their job ads to hire the best people. You can figure out things to help you and help you and your business grow better and more quickly.
As we're wrapping up here, Danny, where do you want people to find you besides seeing if you're in Arizona and you're watching ads of your face on TV? But
if you're watching Jeopardy or Local 12 News, you'll see me on there. So call that number, and especially with a house with a lot of equity. So
that you're okay parting with.
The best place to find me is going to be Instagram, Danny McBrinn. So you can shoot me a DM on there. That's my most active platform. And I have a YouTube channel that I don't have no idea what I'm doing with. I barely know how to work it, and I'm just mass uploading there. So that's Danny McBrinn too. So shoot me a follow. I'm getting a ton of hate on there from people. So I could use some positive comments and stuff. Energy. I'm getting attacked by liberals every day on there that I'm a greedy investor and evicting people and all this stuff. So, but
I love it.
Shoot me a follow on there, And yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, Cody. And I appreciate the time you gave me to hop on here and talk about my story. So thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Danny. All righty, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.